Welcome to the Amplified Podcast Reloaded. Groundwork Ohio is a committed, nonpartisan public policy, research, and advocacy organization where we focus on the time when children's experiences and environments most influence their health, development, and life trajectory from birth to age 5. Our vision: that Ohio is the best place to be a young child, and every child has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Well, greetings and welcome to our second episode with Amplified Podcast Reloaded. This is Vanessa Butler here with Groundwork Ohio. I have the pleasure of serving as the Senior Director of Community Relations and Special Projects, and you all are in store for a really special episode. This is all going to be about families, parent engagement, really strengthening the advocacy muscle, and really just helping to just truly serve and advocate on behalf of so many families with young children across the state. I have the pleasure of being joined by one of our newest parent advocates, Jennifer Fowler. Jennifer Fowler is a devoted mother and fierce parent advocate based in Lebanon, Ohio. She is the proud mom of a spirited 2-year-old daughter who fuels her passion for justice and systemic change. Drawing from her own lived experiences with both substance use disorder and mental health challenges, Jennifer now works as an outreach and multi-site certified peer recovery supporter at Community Health Alliance and Sojourners, where she helps others find strength and healing through their own recovery journeys. As a parent advocate with Groundwork Ohio, Jennifer has become a powerful voice for underserved communities focused on critical issues like early childhood education, access to affordable childcare, public health, and environmental justice. She is particularly passionate about addressing Ohio's high infant and working class mortality rates by advocating for clean water, the removal of lead pipes, improved healthcare access, restoring trust in our healthcare providers with banning incentives, banning carcinogens in our food supply, as well as government accountability. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa. I'm really, grateful to be here, grateful to be a part of the change that we so desperately need, and I couldn't be more honored.
We really appreciate and look forward to just having a heartfelt and transparent and vulnerable conversation with you. So thank you. I also have the pleasure of being joined by one of our very own policy associates and one of my dear colleagues, Malissa Harris. As a policy associate, Melissa provides critical assistance and support to Groundwork Ohio's policy team and supports the implementation and execution of Groundwork's Family Action Network to elevate the voices of young families with young children. In addition to her role at Groundwork Ohio, Melissa is passionate about families being advocates for their own children. She sits on the Child Development Council of Franklin County's Policy Council as co-chair and is also a part of the Ohio Head Start Parent Advocacy Network. Melissa, welcome to you as well.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to have Jennifer here to share her story.
This is so amazing. I'm truly looking forward to what will be a dynamic conversation. So let's just go ahead and get started. Jennifer, can you please share a little bit about yourself and your why for becoming a parent advocate in this space?
Yes, I'm honored, and I want to thank Melissa for, really reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity to have my voice heard. I can't thank you enough. You have helped me tremendously with such a weight on my shoulders. Once you're able, it's just like probably the best form of therapy that you can get is when you have so much that you can offer to the betterment of your great state, but yet it's bundled up inside of you without your voice being heard. So I just want to, I really am so grateful for you and your follow through and your engagement. It's been really great opportunities for me. What really got me into the parent advocacy was more so nobody really likes to fight, right? But I had to. It was, I was met at my doorstep, which was non-existent at the time, with nothing much but denials, hardship, and which should have been the best first year of my daughter's life was filled with chaos, disorder, lack of resources. I paid my taxes into my county my entire life. And when it came my turn to, we were in need. We got shut down left and right. We were unlawfully sanctioned. I didn't even find that out until we moved to Warren County. Warren County's been a saving grace to us. Honestly, we love Lebanon. We've been here now for 2.5 years. So it was more so. I always kind of had this advocacy um, part of me. My mom was big on if something was wrong at the restaurant,
Hmm.
she would maybe go up to the management and inform them of what was wrong and how they can make it right, and then to get her a cookie for our wait, you know. So, she gave me my backbone, and my charisma. She was a very great person, very genuine. My dad, growing up, he worked at Toyota for 40 years, and he finally retired. Uh, and while I was younger, we would go to families, and I grew up in when there was a middle class phone call. But yeah, we would go to, they had Toys for Tots, and we would collect all these different toys, and we would go to families that were less fortunate or underserved, and we would give all these toys away every year. We were doing something with the community and for the community to help, helping lower class people find housing, helping them move in, helping them to receive mental health care or mental health help. um, there's a huge, I believe this is what kind of formed me into who I am today. This was a large part of where my compassion came from.
Yeah, that's so important. And I can truly relate in terms of really fostering that need to give back to your community. When you think about the term community, like it's full of human beings and we're all dealing with hardships in many different ways. And so expressing a sense of humanity in that way is very beautiful. And I know that is something that sticks with you for the duration of your life. And so that seed was planted for you in that moment or in
Yep.
those moments.
And I pass it down to, the children I've mentored, the children I've helped raise. I think it's imperative for our next generations to come to have that same or a similar seed planted, um, because it just, it really humbles a human, and it gives you that sense of it's better to give than to receive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned briefly before kind of taking us at along that journey. The first year of your child's life was particularly challenging. I love hearing from people like what was that specific moment where it just sparked and activated within you that you needed to be a champion in this space.
Let me see here. I would have to say, when I think back, because there were quite a few instances where Hamilton County, sorry about that, Hamilton County, that was actually the county I grew up in.
Okay.
That was the county that I put most majority of my tax dollars into. When me and my daughter, when she was 3 months old, we had to flee our home from domestic abuse. To the year prior, we had lost almost our entire immediate family from everything but COVID.
Mm,
So I had actually put this on the air, but during my bereavement process, I went to the basin of the Grand Canyon and back on foot when I finally got around to the bereavement process, like the real process, besides numbing. And that's where I ended up procreating my daughter. So, she was definitely my saving grace. And I remember being filled with such excitement because I'd been praying to conceive ever since the loss of my family, a family of five, dwindled down to me and my father.
mm.
It really, it really showed me where I was at in life and where I really had such a deep desire to be, and that was with child, to have a small child to help mold and love and care for, to just be able to mentor and grow with and alongside of, as everybody else was going off to their family events, there I sat with my dog, and no matter how much love I have for my dog, it's still, he was a dog, So
Yeah.
I think it was really when um I started to wake up from my blindness from grief, when I started to see how I was allowing people to treat me, in which the authentic Jennifer would never allow that.
Hmm.
And when I put in for every resource that we could possibly put in for, and we were blindly taken off the voucher list, I had TANF and I was doing everything that I had signed up to become a trash cleanup for the metro parks because I love hiking, and I had a hiking a baby stroller so I could take the baby along with me, clean up the parks, do my part, and then I would receive the $400 a month.
Wow.
And everything was set up. I became a bike trail ambassador through the metro parks. I got my volunteer shirts and my bags, and bought gloves and everything else needed, and I went about and did my part. About 5 months, it was, yeah, 5 months in, they decided that this wasn't enough and that I would have to do 80 hours of computer work on top of that, and then ceased to send me any uh, formal instructions or directions to be able to do the 80 hours of computer work, and then just took away what little money that we had, which was, we had 280 in food stamps, and then the $400 a month, because I could not. I had a small child that really, I, unless it's take your child to work day every day, you have to have money in order to afford childcare, and then
That's
you have
right.
to have a job to get the money to afford the childcare. So you don't just come right out of the bat with childcare.
That's right.
And it seemed like a vicious cycle of, I couldn't work for 2 years because I didn't have the luxuries of having somebody watch my child so I can go to work. I don't have family left that is able or capable of doing such. So it was very disheartening. It really, we had such high expectations for once we did get into the daycare system, that my dreams were very sturdily and steadily just crushed. Our first few experiences with daycare did not go well at all. I had to deem them unsuitable, and that then we were met with a lot of retaliation factors.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that things don't work out for others. It just didn't work out for us. So, but the drive in me and my come up game is amazing. Honestly, I really amaze myself sometimes of my bounce back.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that I'm ego's taken over or anything like that. I know my place, but I also know where I stand.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Your lived experiences are nothing short of resiliency.
definitely. Great work.
So being able to model that for a little girl will speak volumes and will stick with her just as your childhood memories stuck with you. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you for your transparency and your vulnerability in that moment, and know that you were seen and that you are affirmed.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the validation.
Absolutely. I wanna pivot just a little bit because I you experienced our advocacy day
Yes.
and being one of our dynamic parent advocates. I want to hear from Melissa in this moment in terms of what your initial engagement with Jennifer was, and what did you convey to her in terms of getting her connected to the Family Action Network, and what picture did you paint and expectations?
My first experience with Jennifer, actually, she was the first parent to spend a really long time on the phone with me on the initial one-on-one call that I do with parents. So I knew right away that she would definitely be somebody that would be interested in probably telling their story, because I feel like she really went in depth and she was vulnerable with me from the start. And so I think that Jennifer and I have developed a really great relationship, and we text quite often due to that. initial conversation that we had. And I know for a fact that she'd rather have a text message with the information of what's going on with a fan versus having an email, because she just responds right away. And I just, knowing from Jennifer's text, she actually ended up sending a letter to her legislator before Advocacy Day.
Wow.
With her own information that she wanted to share. She just feedback on how to write the letter. So I knew that Jennifer would probably be interested in coming to Advocacy Day and talking to her legislator in person, which is one of the reasons why I think she was one of the initial people that I actually reached out to. And she said yes right away with no hesitation.
Wow.
So I just know that even moving forward from this moment on of this podcast, Jennifer will probably be one of the people that is always doing each thing that is asked, because she wants to just tell her story in an abundance of ways. And I'm happy to be able to do that for her.
Oh my goodness. Ooh.
Got me a little choked up here. I really appreciate you so much. We want to be here today. If you hadn't seen that light and that spark in me, it means a lot to me. And your follow through to as well, your guidance. I mean, it wasn't within minutes that she sent me every contact, everything that I didn't have the time to pursue. She was right there. This is how you contact them. This is exactly the codes, the policies we're looking at. This is what needs to change. Very, very straightforward. She was the first person out of, I had contacted so many places that said they were advocacy groups, and to each with no avail. I was looking for advocacy for me and my daughter, because as an advocate myself, it can be very trying to perform advocacy for everyone else and then perform your own advocacy.
That's right. That's right.
So it can be really trying and time consuming. So I had actually heard about Groundworks Ohio from a daycare facility that we're no longer at, but she advised me. She said, you would love this group. They really are all about for change. They get in there and they fight for our rights. They will help you to teach you how to advocate for yourself. They'll give you full guidance and follow through. So I contacted them right away, and Malissa she called me right away. It was what I had wanted the entirety. And so I'm so very grateful. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you, Groundworks.
We're grateful for you, and would love to hear what was it like participating in Advocacy Day. We had 400 advocates across the state registered, 100 legislative meetings. Share from the moment you walked in to just seeing other advocates in the space. Like, what did that look like and feel like for you?
It was powerful, to be honest. Taking everything in. As soon as you walk in, I mean, you're met with these beautiful illustrations, these paintings, all the founding fathers. It's just, the building itself is absolutely beautiful. For our day, we were treated as if we were one of them. We got paid the same. We were catered to. Everything, the dining, they fed us twice with nice meals, and well catered meals. It was really more than I had anticipated, with the setup and the speakers and the the information gathered. It surpassed me. Like, I was just sitting there and writing notes for note for note what the policies were, to make sure that once I had my chance to speak to our state representative, that I knew what I was talking about.
And that's so important. We try to be very mindful and thoughtful of the information that we provide for anyone who joins us on this advocacy journey, and just making sure that it's digestible, that the data truly resonates, and it is truly reflective of so many lived experiences across the state. And so I think that that's what makes Groundwork so unique in nature, because of the diversity of perspectives and lived experiences. And so just providing that space. So that's wonderful to hear that that was your experience. Let's maybe dive into what it felt like to meet with your legislators and share your story. Like, paint that picture for us.
So we had, I did meet with one of the early intervention specialists.
Okay.
And that was, I feel that every child care center should have means to an early intervention specialist, as you know, the spectrum disorders or on the spectrum is growing.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, the parents should have more knowledge on how to treat their diagnosis and how to live daily with such a mental ailment, so they can learn better ways, better ways for both, because that can be very trying for any parent that has a child that has autism or is on the spectrum. So I feel that it was really, really great it was empowering. I met with the councilman of Adam Matthews, as he wasn't able to make it to our meeting, and the director of the Head Start program, Mrs. Stone. And I'm sorry, but I cannot remember the financial advisor that was there. But we met with the councilman in Adam Matthews' office. So I was standing in his office. I actually sat down in there too. I thought it was different of what I had in mind, but it really, he did. I believe that he was taking notes the entirety. It really worked out with what the agenda that was brought up was a factor on the mortality rates.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that, Melissa has, I don't know how many times she's sent me the agenda. So, I know I've at least 5 times. And so since they had brought up that factor, and of course I touched base on every aspect that I wanted to, but this one stood out to me because it was about, he asked the councilman, the financial advisor asked the councilman if there were any budget issues that we should be worried about. And he was met with a hard no. And so that was, reassuring. But then he said, well, we're kind of concerned about businesses wanting to come to Ohio, as they're fearful because we don't have the bodies to fill the positions,
Right.
which is going to affect our economy.
That's right.
And so I'm like just sitting over here like, oh, I got this one. I said, well, I said over here, kind of raised my hand. I said, so I performed some due diligence here. And I've kind of broken this down to what may be affecting our high mortality rates. And I brought up the factor of the lead waterways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And how the lead waterways, the number one reason behind the infant mortality rates is early delivery. One of the main causing factors of early delivery is lead poisoning, carcinogens, environmental hazards. So within that, because in Ohio, we still have 700,000 lead pipes.
Yes.
Lead waterways. And I said, I've looked up what other states are doing, and they're performing pilot programs, as it's a few $billion project, and they're doing pilot programs to where they'll go and take out 600 of them and then learn from that experience and then go take out another 600 until they slowly dwindle it down. And he's writing down everything, vigorously.
Mm-hmm.
And so a couple days later, actually, the director of my daughter's child care center now sent me the link to where she said your voice was heard, and it was that they put 15 million towards the infrastructure and removal of lead waterways.
Wow.
Right. And
Talk about
that,
advocacy in real
oh,
time.
right. Like, and I know it wasn't just me. There's so many different groups and people that have been fighting so long for this cause, and it was just really nice to see some leeway on that. Like actually making some progress. It really, I would never have. It's all about where, who allows you when. And without Groundworks Ohio, I would have never been in there to talk to them about childcare needs for
Yeah.
the 200% poverty welfare limit to be up to at least 200%. I think it should be 210 or 250. So then we could actually, take a vacation every once in a while. That would be nice.
Goodness.
Right.
That that's
Right. Like, 200 now. Let's push for 210, 220.
there we go. There we go. Shoot, we have to shoot for the stars because it's for our kids and it's for truly for Ohio's future.
Definitely. It was magical, to be honest. Thank you so much.
My goodness, no, thank you. If you, in thinking, overall, what message did you hope to convey to policymakers? And what do you wish more policymakers and decision makers understood about families that are similarly situated as yours or different?
I have so many things, but I would say it narrows down to we're all just human, right? We are all just human. We all need progress. Okay. We have to have growth and progression in order to want to do this, to have the will, the drive to keep pushing forward. And when you're backed into a corner and you want nothing but to work, if they want the economy, the people are the heart of Ohio. Without the people, we have no heart. The state is dead, right?
That's right.
Without the people, we have to take care of our people. We have to take care of that heart, just like we would take care of our own heart. And if, they have to see that without us, they won't have those things that they love so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they won't have the worker bees to carry the weight.
That's right.
They have to take care of us in order to get where they want to get. We need to get to where we want to get first. Theirs is more long term, ours is short term and now.
That's right.
Not a month later. That's seemingly a big problem. Like I've noticed that with spoken to the director, we talk almost daily as well of the daycare. I spoke to Melissa about having her come for Advocacy Day as well, as she is very savvy in the field of childcare. Sadly, they just up and fired her the other day wrongfully, and it's a big issue right now. We're all advocating for great woman, very strong, very very devoted to her career choice, and she was 3 years away from retiring. It's beyond all of us, really. But she informed me of the needs that they don't have a tax-free retirement. That was something that really stood out to me. Like other educators have a tax-free retirement, they're unionized, but not the early childhood learning centers. I think that's going to be huge. Like, to whether becoming burnt out,
that's right,
on your job, and not having really progression or things to look forward to, tax-free retirement.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for, I don't know if I could have said that better. So truly thank you for uplifting her lived experience. And I'm sure that continued advocacy will happen in your immediate community to support her.
Definitely. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day is gathering and supporting one another. Really, that's what it's all about. We are the many.
Absolutely.
We are the few.
Absolutely. And Jennifer, in thinking about your engagement thus far with the Family Action Network, how has it impacted your overall confidence? And what would you share about this initiative to encourage other parents to mobilize in this way?
Oh, Groundwork Ohio is a game changer, to be honest. There's no other. I've searched, and I'm a researcher. That's what I am, an analytical being. I was on the hunt for an advocacy group that had follow through, that was actually did what they said they did, that they do what they said they're going to do. Groundworks Ohio has been nothing shy of, the what you would want to base any advocacy group off of. Legitimacy and follow through. The Zooms. They have a weekly Zoom meeting that anybody can join and be a part of. Everybody is engaged in the Zooms. This is what you do on your own free will, when you are encouraged, as they encourage you to be. because it makes you feel like you're a part of something, because you are. You are not the only one out there. We are all out there. We all have our lived experiences and our stories, and they give you that voice. I definitely encourage people to, join in. If nothing at all, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna learn something. You're going to take that with you, and it's going to help you to fight whatever battle that you're up against. Like I said, it's great networking as well. Wonderful networking. It really brings our communities together, as COVID's had a huge impact on our social abilities.
That's right.
It's really trying at times to see, like, we don't have a play date. We don't have any other kids that my child plays with, as people have introverted. They've been devastated. They've been definitely impacted by the COVID and other factors. But I think that Groundworks is really helping to gather everybody together for a similar cause, to show them that we're not standing down. It gives you heart. It gives you the will. I was just about, because they'll push you. The job and family services and places like that, they will push you until you give up. I actually worked at the job and family services building for a little while with the START program, and it was really difficult to hear some of the stories of, as mind you, these are people just like us, not just like us, but like, similar, because we wouldn't do some of the things that they definitely do. It's just, it's beyond me to think that certain people are given such power to determine other people's livelihoods. It's scary, but that's where Groundwork Ohio comes in, because that's where you can learn your voice, know that it's heard, have understanding, compassionate guidance. I don't know how many loaded questions I've sent Malissa. I'm so sorry. I know that there's times of manic depressive disorder kicks in, and I have this strange will to live and fight, and I'm just like, Melissa, so this and that, what kind of information do you have? I really appreciate, and I think it's been different random times, and I've said, I hope you're getting compensated for this. So I'd encourage parents to know that we care. We care. If you feel like you're in a place to where you're lonely, you're tired, you wanna give up, don't give up. Don't give up, okay? I know it's tough. I know it could be very trying, but there are people out here that will help you find your voice and help your voice to be heard. And that's Groundworks Ohio.
Jennifer, wow, we are truly humbled by your words and your continued commitment to be aligned with our mission and vision that every child has the opportunity to thrive in this state. So just thank you. And Melissa, I think that this would be an amazing plug as we're thinking about the Family Action Network. Talk just a little bit about the story collection opportunity that you're providing families to share.
Yeah, so we know that policies impacting families are most effective when they're shaped by real experiences. That's why we're launching a letter campaign to share the voices of parents and caregivers, like people listening to this podcast, directly with legislators. And we also will use those stories to highlight quotes on social media to tag their legislators. So we want to paint a clear picture of the challenges that families are facing and why solutions like increased childcare funding and family support policies are so critical. So we really just want to hear families' experiences around early learning and childcare, healthcare access and quality, early childhood trauma prevention, and economic stability. So if you are a parent or you know some families, please connect with me.
Thank you so much for that amazing plug. And I can't reiterate enough that our work is truly centered on the lived experiences for so many families across Ohio. We center the voices for a reason, so that way we can support and uplift the necessary policies to affect the change for better. So I want to conclude with asking you both this question. Melissa, I'll start with you. Describe a scene from your vision of the future for Ohio's youngest children and their caregivers. And then, Jennifer, I would love for you to then share yours.
Sure. I really just want to see that parents know that they have the voice to speak with their legislators. I think that's really important, and it can also change the trajectory of their own lives and their own personal experiences. But I also think that every parent should have access to whatever supports they need to thrive and not just survive, because so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. If you make $1 more for like public, like for assistance, you know, you don't get assistance, and that $1 more does not equate to the amount of money paid for those services. So I think that just being able to have flexibility in services for families to actually get what they need and to actually, you know, be able to have a community with other parents and have the time and capacity to like grow and thrive.
Yes, yes, yes.
Jennifer, how about you?
You know, that's I'm reveling, and that's the perfect way to put that, as you support the supporters. I think that's absolutely wonderful. You don't, you know, I've asked that question many times to myself, like, who supports the supporters? Groundworks Ohio. You know, that's who supports the supporters. It's detrimental. It's detrimental. And I'd like to see, I want to see Ohio great again. You know, I've been, and I know I'm not the only one that's been extremely disappointed, dissatisfied with our resources, with our aid. It's, you know, taken on so many devastating blows, has traumatized our state. And, you know, I want to see, you know, it'd be nice to be able to drink out of the hose again. That bothers me, that I have to, even at the child care centers, I have to bring in her own bottled water to make sure they don't give her faucet water. It's, you know, the carcinogens in our food. We have to do things about this. As you know, a lot of our infants aren't making it to their first birthday because of the lack of resources, because of the carcinogens, because of the inability to provide like they want to and like they worked for. But I had to take a pay cut in order to receive child care assistance, in which we just started receiving this past week. It's been a consistent 2.5-year fight with Job and Family Services, and having to take a pay cut, you know, to decrease my worth of being, in order to receive resources that we have so desperately needed in our time of need. So I would love to see our economy booming again, because we have the people that want to work because they have things to look forward to. You know, we can't, if we're living paycheck to paycheck, we can't afford vacations. You know, we can't afford, you know, that nice birthday party we'd like to give them, you know, the Christmas presents twice, and the back-to-back last 2 years. Job and Family Services took away our food stamps right before the same week as Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yes, devastating. Like devastating. These were in the years that I was unable to work, and I was in between jobs, and I went and did my part to where they said I went in there myself and got the thing that said I was there. I told them that I was in between jobs, and they cut our food assistance off while we had no money coming in. So it was just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe this is happening again, because this wasn't the first time. I'm very grateful to have financial assistance with childcare now, and that my daughter can finally be at a center to where she can start to, you know, flourish and open up. But it's taken a lot to get us here, and now they fired the director. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I would love to see, you know, people working together more, you know, instead of against each other. Like, this is, the retaliation is so 2019. We need to move forward. We need to work together and put the pettiness behind us, and really see the bigger picture here, that together we are stronger. Together we are better. I really want to see that. I want to see community again. I want to see grill outs. I want to see those things that we used to do.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for really just driving home the need to restore humanity within our communities. You both have fully demonstrated and continue to embody that every parent deserves to be heard, and that everyone working together, we can transform our systems to serve all families with dignity and care. Thank you both for your time. Please remember, if you care for or love a young child in Ohio, you are an expert and your voice matters. Amplify your voice by sharing your own story, supporting others in sharing their stories, and advocate for changes that will support families and young children in your communities. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Amplified Podcast Reloaded on the Groundwork Ohio YouTube channel. If you wish to engage with Groundwork Ohio to amplify your voice and support policies to improve the lives of Ohio's youngest children, please visit www.groundworkohio.org. Thanks again, and until next time.